Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm trying to get a jump start on all of my holiday decorating, so I'm bringing out all of my exterior lights, and I'm already starting to see that strands aren't working properly, and it's probably because of blown bulbs or a faulty socket, maybe a fuse, but I've never had that really be an issue. Basically, every year this becomes a little bit of a task. I'm trying to protect this investment that I made. I went probably about 4 or 5 years ago and bought these, I guess, multifunctional lights, which have different functions, up to like 7 different things. I just usually keep them on the multicolored setting, which probably would have saved me money not having to have all those functions. I thought I was making more of an investment into better lights, but just proves that every year when I bring these out, I'm spending much of my time repairing them and getting them working properly, and it's taking away time from my family and basically just being a pain in general. And I'm seeing across the internet, like, a lot of people have this problem. I don't understand why companies can't make Christmas lights that will work properly for multiple seasons and give you a chance to decorate, be festive, and not be so frustrated. It's that Clark Griswold, like, just beginning of the holiday, and you drag everything out and already you're off to a bad start. It's not for lack of trying to protect them. I put them away every year in these buckets that I made with PVC acting like a spool. It's just a PVC pipe in the middle of a 5-gallon bucket, just your typical 5-gallon bucket, and it's screwed through the bottom. Every year I just bring them out, and I just dump them over to get a good look whether or not they're lighting up properly. Which this one, there's one portion of a strand that's not working properly. This one's pretty good. This one has almost a full strand completely dead. This one has a partial one. So it's not that bad this year. I think last year I really went into repairing these, and it took me a good portion of a day to get them just working to where I could decorate with them. But I wanted to go into what I do to actually repair them, and a good investment first off is this LED keeper. It's going to help you isolate the blown bulb, or you could test a fuse on it and see if that's the problem, and basically test a bulb before you even try to put it on the strand. That way the bulb you're putting on is actually working properly. It's a little bit of a process to actually isolate the bulb, but as far as this particular tool, it has saved me a lot of time as far as pulling each bulb. And I don't know what people did before they actually made these, because would have probably just thrown out the strand and went and bought new ones, and I'm sure the companies that make these would rather you do that than actually repair them. I wish that wasn't the case, and you could just bring these out, they would work properly, and you can enjoy your holidays. But it's 9 o'clock at night and I'm down here trying to repair these so that I can come home and see a festive house. So let's get into exactly what comes with the LED keeper, and then we'll get into working on the lights and actually getting them to work properly. So what makes it easy for me is to actually separate the working lights from the non-working lights. This one was in the middle of probably these are 4 strands, and each one of these strands or like piles go into a separate bush that's out in front of my house. But this particular bush would take about 4 strands, this one being directly in the middle. You can isolate these pretty easily the way they're strand. Like if you're not too crazy with them, like I know this first strand on top is blown out, if you can see that. And right here, I can already pull this aside and know that I have to work on this one. And so this one being in the middle, I would unplug this and disconnect from here. And here. And bring this over, and now these should all work on this side. So I'll plug them back in. These are all in working order. So now I can set these all aside. Basically, same thing for this. I'm going to pull these apart, separate all the bad strands from the good strands, and then we can start working on isolating which bulbs are bad and get them working properly again. But it's pretty neat just to be organized and try not to mess the lights up as much as possible, thrashing them around, getting them all tangled up and knotted up. Definitely doesn't help the more stress you put on these sockets. I've seen these go bad, and with the LED keeper, they do have ways to replace them. I don't particularly like that way. I'm going to show you how I did a couple of them, but for now, I'm going to find all the burnout strands and we'll get to repairing them. Okay, so one of the bad strands that I disconnected has a good portion in the middle of the strand blown out, and the one thing that they do provide you with are these 2 clips to help you locate the spaces that are blown out. Basically, if I hold this one where it's lit on, and this right here, the other end where it's lit, basically when I transfer this right here, you have to plug the LED keeper into this light strand that you're going to be working on. And I do recommend that you change the battery out in this. If you've had it for a couple of years, it always helps having a fresh battery. I made the mistake of keeping the one in there for a couple of years, and when I finally changed the battery out, I was surprised how well this actually worked again. So know that you have a tester right here for the bulb you're going to be putting in. I don't know if you can see that lighting up, but that way I know that this bulb right here is working properly, and all I have to do is now locate where it needs to be put. The strand started here, and what you're aiming for, I'll show you. This one has 3 going into it, but you want to locate the 2 lines coming out of the light. That way, when you put this nozzle on there, like the tester, can hit it and I can see them light up. And this one is illuminated, so I'm going to move this one forward. And usually these portions here are reason why it doesn't go past it sometimes, and then when you test this, I can see it's lit up on this side again now. Okay. And you can basically follow down. I know it's not that dark, but I can see them where they're lighting up, and I can already see that this one doesn't. It's kind of hard with my lights on, but that one is definitely dead. So pull this one, insert this one. We know this one was working properly. Now for a moment we're going to take this and plug it in, and now the whole strand's working. So that one bulb was keeping this one from working properly. That's a quick fix in my book from not having to go through every one and test it with some kind of tester, or just doing it manually by replacing the bulb and see if it works. I think it's 100 bulbs per strand. It would take you a good amount of time to get through an entire strand, but right there I isolated it, I found the broken bulb, and now this strand works, and I can go decorate the outside with this one. So trying to give you a closer look at the technique I use to, or basically you should use, to isolate and locate the burnout bulb is this particular strand. I'm actually burnt out on the very end, so I have it on the last light that illuminates, and what I want to do is unplug, get the light keeper, and from here this bulb has two wires going either side. You want to try to see if they'll illuminate. So that powers, I don't know if you can see it, but I can see where the light is going through. And you want to skip ahead maybe a little bit and try another one. Make sure that they are illuminating. So from here, we're good. I'll jump ahead a little bit more. Get a good bite on it, and these are still illuminated from this side. You can either move that up or use your second one to make sure that you're keeping track. So maybe move up a little bit more, and this is definitely the method you want to use. And I could see pretty much illuminated all the way until here. Let's see. There. I'm jumping ahead a lot, but I can see even back and forward, and this has got to be right here where my problem is, because I'm getting either low or no illumination whatsoever. So let's try this one, and this one's not lighting up, but you want to try the other side too. And that's got to be our bad bulb. I'm not getting anything from it. This one's lighting up, and if I jump on the other side of it, get a good bite on it, this one's lighting up. So both of them are lighting up. This one's not completing that circuit. And sometimes even, like, I don't know if you can see that. I hope you can, but the little piece of copper that folds over broke off on this one. and they become so brittle from being outside that sometimes you have to just replace them for that reason. And you might get some flickering. It's probably because I guess they warm up and that copper becomes so brittle. It's not, the best as far as, being a thick gauge copper wire. Okay, so that was definitely the bulb that was the problem. As far as, seeing where your lights stop illuminating and then working your way down and really getting to where you can see that you're either having difficulty illuminating or not at all. And once you get to that one, you basically try both sides, and if it's not illuminating, it's definitely where your problem is. As soon as I replaced that bulb, it completed the circuit and all the bulbs lit back up. So on to the next one. They get quicker as you go, I guess. So one thing you want to make sure you're doing when you're working on these lights are making sure that these lights are properly seated. If you see some flickering, it might be because a loose bulb is not making that connection onto the socket itself. And at least with the way iridescent lights would work, is that the bulb would complete the circuit so that the electricity would flow through and illuminate the other bulbs in the string of lights. The LEDs, they say as a selling point, stay lit, and you can see that only certain sections burn out, and that's because that one bulb isn't completing that continuous circuit of electricity through the strand of lights. The biggest thing I will say is you need one of these, an investment that's well worth it. It saved me so much time, and I mean, as far as making sure that these lights work properly and I'm not throwing them out and going out and buying new lights every year, this has paid for itself so many times over. You want to replace the battery in this, only because a fresh battery is going to make sure that you can see the light, what bulbs are lighting up better than others, and you'll be able to isolate that bad bulb a lot faster, and also checking the bulb you're putting in to make sure that you're not putting a bad bulb in, you're just chasing your tail at that point. This is definitely worth the investment. It came with 2 of these pods, which if a socket goes bad, and you can see sometimes these wires will actually pull out, and that's not identifiable as far as, you're going to eventually run into it, and they say to snip the socket off, and you unscrew these and then screw the exposed wire into this, and it completes the circuit again, which I didn't like them, and I went with these, which are these caps, and I've used them for mainly like car audio, like to install like head units and speakers. But the wires, you'd expose so much of the wire, put this cap on, crimp it down, and I believe this was a lot better. I felt that the wires would easily come out, so that's why I still have them, and I use a couple of these to replace some sockets on these lights, and work perfect. I do a little bit of electrical tape around the cap so that moisture doesn't get in. Another problem is water does get into these and does corrode your connections, which if you pull the bulb out and you put it in again, it might blow the bulb again. You might want to find something to scratch the inside, unplug it, and then make sure that there's not a lot of corrosion on those connections. Everything is making sure that this electricity is flowing through and getting electricity to those next lights. So they provide these. I would go that route as far as repairing the sockets. The bulbs, I got most of my bulbs from light strands that I knew wouldn't work anymore. I pulled all the bulbs off, made sure I kept them so that I can continue to repair the light strands I do have. The one thing that they did is from year to year they changed the bulbs, and which makes it more difficult to repair them. They do it on purpose, I think, to sell more lights. I'm sure they've seen a decrease in sales since this has been out, as far as every year people are able to at least expand onto their outdoor displays. It's definitely frustrating, and I'll always go back to the movie National Lampoons because that frustration's real as far as bringing them out and they're all balled up. And one of the things that I did to keep organized was to build these buckets so that I can spool these wires in and bring them out a lot carefully and make sure that I'm protecting the investment that I made in these lights. I enjoy them every year. My family enjoys them, and it's just repairing them is a big pain, but it's about 10:30 and all the strands are repaired. I'll probably install these on the bush like out front tomorrow night. I'm just ready for bed, but for now, as far as this video and how to repair them, I think I basically covered everything. If I could suggest one more thing, is one of these basically surge protector like outlets. They basically will come on as soon as the sun goes down, and they click on, so you don't even have to remember to turn your lights on. They do it for you, and that's one less thing you have to worry about. And every time you come home, your lights will be on, greeting you. In the darkest portions of the season, it's just like 5 o'clock, no sun. You try to illuminate as much as possible to keep that darkness, a little bit more festive during the holidays. As far as this video, I think I've covered just about all I wanted to. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please consider. I have so many more projects. This is one that comes up every year. I'm glad if any of this information helped. If you have any questions, please ask. I'm here. Stay tuned. I have a ton more projects.